This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. A fourth COVID-19 vaccine has now entered the final phase of trials. Johnson & Johnson announced its vaccine is entering into phase 3 trials, adding researchers could know by the end of the year whether it's safe and effective. This announcement came as America hit a grim milestone: 200,000 deaths from the coronavirus. President Trump says his administration prevented that number from being much higher, while Joe Biden says the president should have made sure the number was even lower.
And it's a terrible thing, but had we not closed our country down and reopened, and now we're doing well in reopening, the stock market's up, all of those things, but I think it's a horrible thing. But if we had not done it right, you could have 2 million, 2.5 billion, or 3 million. But it's a horrible thing.
President Trump wants to write off those we lost as nobodies. This president is trying to erase the reality we're living today because he thinks it helps him politically.
The president said a vaccine could be available by Election Day. Meanwhile, the FDA is announcing tighter new vaccine guidelines to help calm fears about a vaccine being rushed to the market. CBN's medical reporter Lori Johnson joins us now with the latest on the coronavirus. And Lori, can you tell us about these new vaccine guidelines?
Well, the FDA is going to announce later this week that drug manufacturers must, who before they present a vaccine to be approved to the FDA, that people in phase 3 trials need to have been in them for 2 months, and that people in placebo groups, there need to be at least 5 very severe cases in the placebo groups in these, at least in each one of these trials, and that there needs to be people who have gotten COVID in older people, and also that they're saying that the vaccine needs to be shown to be at least 50% effective or higher. Again, as you said, this is supposed to allay fears among the general public that the vaccine will be safe and effective once it's approved. We know that in May, 72% of Americans said they would take the vaccine as soon as it was approved. Recently, that number has dipped down to just above 50%.
Okay, so there are 4 vaccines in the final stages. Is it possible more than one will be approved?
Absolutely. In fact, the president has indicated this, and other health experts have indicated that there will likely be more than one vaccine on the market. More than one will likely be approved. The big question is which one is going to be approved first. President Trump, as you know, has been talking about one before Election Day. That will likely be the Pfizer vaccine. He's been talking a lot about Pfizer, the Pfizer CEO, so that they will likely have the results of their trials by the end of October. The other 2 vaccines are AstraZeneca and Moderna, and then, as you know, now Johnson & Johnson. Interesting, Johnson & Johnson is different from a lot of the other ones. Their vaccine does not need to be frozen. It needs to be refrigerated, and their vaccine is just 1 shot. The other ones have 2. You get 1 shot, wait a month, and get another one. But these really, frozen, not frozen, 1 or 2 shots really aren't the deal breakers. What everyone is looking for is it safe and is it effective?
Absolutely. Well, Halloween is just around the corner, and how will the coronavirus change things for trick-or-treaters? What is the coronavirus? Well, what does the vaccine have to do with trick-or-treaters?
Well, the CDC came out with Halloween guidelines because, Wendy, Halloween is really a big holiday. It's grown, and it's grown in popularity among adults. It used to be just a kids' holiday, but, we know that a lot of adults love their Halloween parties and love to dress up and whatnot. So the CDC issued guidelines for Halloween regarding the little kids, the trick-or-treaters. They're saying really strongly advising against going from door to door for trick-or-treating. Even the trunk or treat, where you go from car to car, and they're saying that you can still sort of get the Halloween effect if people would bag up individually bagged, individually wrapped Halloween treats, put them out on the sidewalk, and then you can stand on your porch and still wave to the neighbors, still see the kids in their cute little outfits, but without having that close contact. And they're saying that, people should try, if they want to have a Halloween costume contest, do that virtually, try to skip the hay rides, try to skip the haunted houses, and do things like watch movies or do things with your family.
I used to keep my candy in a white, just a pillowcase, had it half full, and would keep it in my closet for like months, just rationing out the candy. So
wow.
My heart goes out to the kids.
I know, and the parents too. But I admire your self-control. When I was a kid, I would have it eaten all within 3 days.
Well, yeah, all the good stuff was first. All right, Lori, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, thousands of people will be paying their respects to late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg while her casket lies in repose outside the U.S. Supreme Court today and tomorrow. This morning, Ginsburg's former law clerks lined the steps of the Supreme Court as her coffin arrived for her memorial service. Inside the building, 8 remaining justices together for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic to honor the second woman elevated to the high court. Ginsburg passed away last Friday after serving on the court for 27 years. On Friday, her casket will lie in state at the Capitol. She is the first woman to do so and the only Supreme Court justice to have that honor bestowed upon her. Well, one of a president's biggest responsibilities is, of course, picking Supreme Court justices. But he also selects hundreds of federal judges. That means investigating the records of thousands of nominees. Because President Trump only wants candidates who will be faithful to the U.S. Constitution, he's accepted help vetting these nominees from prominent conservative groups. First Liberty Institute usually spends its time defending religious freedom in court. But its chief counsel tells Paul Strand they've been aiding Trump from the start.
We're speaking with Kelly Shackelford at the First Liberty Institute, chief counsel there. Kelly, a lot of folks these days are looking for, scrambling around, getting information on potential nominees. What kind of research are you guys doing, and what are you looking for in the record of folks that President Trump might pick?
When President Trump came into office, we established a whole effort on judicial nominations to make sure that there was really extensive research on everybody who's being looked at up and down the courts, because these are lifetime appointments. It's so crucial in these lifetime appointments that we get judges who are not going to stray from the Constitution, who are not going to become politicians and try to put their own beliefs in. We've seen a lot of that from judges, and I know President Trump really wants to make sure that that proper judicial philosophy are the people he is putting on the courts, and he's done a phenomenal job. We have gotten, I think it's 221 now, federal judges confirmed, and this is the best crop we've ever seen in our country.
How does it happen that the White House and you guys connect?
You've got the White House counsel's office that works for the president that does research. You have the Justice Department that does those things, but they've got a lot of things on their plates. Anytime you can provide information for them to make a better decision, because we know the decision they're trying to make, which is something that, we completely agree with. We want judges who are judges, who really do have that blindfold on like Lady Justice, that are going to say, what is the original meaning of the law? What is the original meaning of the text of the Constitution? Not it's a living, breathing Constitution that we're going to sort of imbue into it what we think is right for today. Now, that's for the politicians. And we've had too much of that, and it's caused a lot of politicizing of our courts.
It's a wild moment that here we are less than 50 days from the election. A lot of folks saying, Trump, don't pick somebody. Why should he? Why must he? What's so important about, this particular time in 2020 that we have a full Supreme Court?
I think that's why President Trump won the election. So many people voted on that Scalia seat at the Supreme Court. They wanted the kind of judges that he promised he would appoint. So I think it's only appropriate when the seat opens up now that he do exactly what the voters voted for him to do, which was nominate great people to the court, and let's get the Senate to get that through. And Paul, I think it's even more important right now because we've got an election coming up. There's all kinds of talk about election contests and lawsuits. We need a full court to deal with that. And we also might have some huge cases in the pandemic on religious freedom and the rights of the church. Those are all percolating up. The last thing we want is like a 4-4 tie at the Supreme Court or not having a full court. So I think it's extra important to get that justice on the court and to have a full court in operation.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. Appreciate your time. We've been talking with Kelly Shackelford of the First Liberty Institute.
Thank you so much, Paul. For more on this story and the latest from our nation's capital, be sure to tune into Faith Nation this evening right here on the CBN News Channel. In other news, Kentucky's Attorney General announced Louisville police officer Brett Hankison will be charged with multiple counts of wanton endangerment in the fatal shooting that killed Breonna Taylor earlier this year. The 2 other officers involved, Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly and Detective Miles Cosgrove, will not be charged. The mayor of Louisville had declared a state of emergency Tuesday in anticipation of today's decision. With concern over violent protests and riots, nearby businesses barricaded their buildings and some schools even shut down. Taylor was shot multiple times by officers who burst into her home on March 13th during a narcotics investigation. No drugs were found in her house. Her death has sparked public outcry and led to over 125 days of protests. Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, who will not be charged, is receiving backlash after speaking out for the first time. In an email to over 1,000 fellow officers, he wrote, quote, "I know we did the legal, moral, and ethical thing that night. It's sad how the good guys are demonized and criminals are canonized." The officer's lawyer defended the email, saying Mattingly was expressing support to his police colleagues. Well, coming up, as the United Nations General Assembly meets this week, tensions between the U.S. and China are on the rise. We'll take a look when we come back. But before we go, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
World leaders addressed the United Nations annual meeting in New York yesterday. The event was mostly virtual, with just a few diplomats appearing in person. President Trump and others spoke in pre-recorded speeches. In a recorded speech to a virtual UN General Assembly, Trump accused China and the World Health Organization of spreading misinformation about the coronavirus's transmission. This is just one reason tensions are high between the U.S. and China. The two leaders sparring over trade, technology, Hong Kong, and China's treatment of Muslim minorities in Xinjiang province. Can you pronounce that for me?
Xinjiang province.
Xinjiang.
Yep.
Xinjiang. All right. Well, senior international correspondent George Thomas joins me now for more. Obviously, the rivalry between China and the U.S. on full display during this meeting.
Absolutely. The President Trump of the United States basically took his time to go after, he didn't specifically mention President Xi, but in essence accused China, as you mentioned, for spreading the virus and the misinformation, and obviously levied the blame on the World Health Organization. The flip side, President Xi took the podium, the virtual podium right after that, and took more of the diplomatic tone. He's been going around the world and showcasing China and his diplomatic skills. Call it a charm offensive, trying to show the world that as the United States continues to pursue a Make America Great First policy, this isolationist policy, China wants to have an open world, of open dialogue with the rest of the world, and is seen as a more reasonable leader on the world stage. And so clearly you had these two competing forces. One, the president of the United States blaming China. The other, the Chinese president saying, listen, we don't want a clash of civilizations. We don't want conflict. We want, peace and democracy and harmony in our world today.
So Xi talks about freedom and he talks about world peace, but at home he wants absolute loyalty, right?
Absolutely. And since he took power several years ago, he has, in essence, gone through the entire government system, purging those who are, levying charges of corruption and embezzlement and so forth. And if you don't agree with the party line, you are arrested. In fact, just this last few days, a very prominent critic of the Xi government was arrested on charges, trumped-up charges of corruption. There is a sort of a purging that's taking place today in China. Most Chinese observers have never seen any this semblance of a crackdown since the days of Mao Zedong. And so it's very, very serious, and not just in China, but he's also, flexing his political as well as military muscle in the South China Sea as it deals with Hong Kong, with India on a number of issues. China and its leader is truly pushing its influence both politically and economically as well as militarily throughout the region.
He looks like such a friendly school teacher standing in front of that chalkboard. But, last weekend about 40 Chinese warplanes crossed sensitive airspace near Taiwan. What's going on in the Straits of Taiwan?
Yeah, so basically, if you were to look at a map of the region and look at China and Taiwan, there has been this agreement between the two countries. It's called a median line that basically divides the straits between the two. And for decades, Chinese military aircrafts would come up to the so-called median line. The Taiwanese would come right up to the median line, and then they would veer off. Well, on September 18th, about 40 Chinese warplanes crossed the median line, and according to a cockpit voice recording from the Chinese side, as the Taiwanese aircraft came to intercept, you could hear the Chinese pilot saying to his Taiwanese pilot, there is no so-called median line. And that was a huge provocation. It's the first time in decades that this has happened. Analysts talking about a huge crisis between these two countries. China has always seen Taiwan as part of their country, and in the middle of all this, a high-level delegation from the United States was visiting Taiwan. China was not in agreement with that because they see Taiwan as an extension of the country, and the fact that the United States would send a high-level delegation to Taiwan, in essence, the U.S. government saying, we stand with you, we stand with the Taiwanese and its people and its government, two separate systems. Obviously, the Chinese did not like that, and so they sent about 40 airplanes across the median line. Again, escalating tensions in the region.
Absolutely. Yeah. George Thomas, thanks for those insights. We appreciate it. After the break, why a college Christian group is suing their university and how they say they were treated unfairly.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
On the Home Front, Tuesday morning at 10:30.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by a God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
A Christian student group at the University of Iowa is asking a federal appeals court to hold the school accountable for religious discrimination. The Business Leaders in Christ says school officials kicked them off campus and put it on a religious watch list for requiring its leaders to sign a statement of faith. Well, joining us now from back at the firm representing the student group is Senior Counsel Eric Baxter. Eric, welcome to Newswatch.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Well, thanks for joining us. Tell us more. Do you think the university singled out business leaders that believe in Christ?
Absolutely. The university asked our clients to detail their beliefs in their constitution. And then once our clients did that, the university accused them of being bigots and discriminating because of their traditional beliefs on marriage and sexuality. And the university then deregistered our client, essentially kicking them off campus.
Where do other religious groups on campus stand? I'm assuming there are other religious groups on campus. Are they able to continue meeting?
Well, after we complained, the university doubled down and kicked a number of other religious groups off campus for requiring their leaders to share their beliefs, which you'd think would be pretty common sense. Ironically, the one group that had beliefs exactly opposite of our clients were allowed to remain on campus and given preferential treatment. So that was textbook discrimination in violation of our clients' First Amendment rights.
That's incredible. I mean, given that a university is supposed to be a place where everyone's free thought and is supposed to be celebrated and different ideas and ideologies, but not the case, it seems. Well, we've seen cases like this before, of course. What are you expecting as an outcome?
Well, we've asked the court in this case to hold the college officials responsible for what they've done. We think that no college official could believe it was okay to kick a religious group off campus unless it changed its beliefs. It's outrageous that they were even asked to change their statement of faith. And so we've asked the Court of Appeals to hold those officials accountable. And we're hopeful that the court will issue a ruling in the next 3 to 4 months doing that.
Eric, what can be done at a higher level to make sure colleges and universities like this one in Iowa cannot discriminate like this?
You know, we're really proud of our clients, students who really just wanted to provide a space for other students to live out their faith, but they were willing to take a stand and stand up for what was right, to go to the university, demand that they be given the same treatment as every other group on campus. And I think that's really important for other students to see that and be willing to stand up for what they know are their rights under the Constitution.
You mentioned that a group with just the exact opposite beliefs as this group, which was a Business Leaders in Christ group, is allowed to remain on campus and continue to meet. I'm assuming this is some sort of atheist group. I don't know if you're allowed to mention it, but...
Yeah, no, it was actually the student who initially complained about Blink's beliefs about marriage and sexuality formed his own group and required its leaders to sign a gay-affirming statement of faith. And the university said, well, basically, we like what they're doing, and so we're going to allow them to stay on campus, but we think that what you're doing to my clients is bigoted, and kick them off campus. And actually in its briefings called our clients out, saying they just wanted to participate in illegal discrimination, a really difficult situation for our clients who are really just trying to stand up for their basic beliefs that are shared by many, many Americans, and that the Supreme Court has recognized as decent and honorable beliefs.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you have a very good case, and we wish you all the best and hope you'll come back and let us know how it goes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, up next, how students across the country are uniting to pray for America.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
No spur falls, man. Come.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
While most schools have gone virtual because of the pandemic, students still found a way to gather in prayer this morning. It's the 30th annual See You at the Pole prayer movement. Wow, I remember when it was just getting started. Each year at 7 a.m., students, parents, families, and youth leaders gather at their school's flagpole to pray for each other and their communities. Those who met in person this year were encouraged to follow all COVID-19 guidelines, of course, while others could join online live stream. Well, thousands of students participated. And speaking of praying for America, that's the focus of a major prayer gathering this weekend in our nation's capital. It's called The Return, and you can watch it live on CBN News. Tune in Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on the CBN News Channel to see The Return. Gordon Robertson, Pat Robertson, Jonathan Kahn, Franklin Graham, a lot of people that you know will be there praying for America, and you can pray right along with them because, let's face it, America needs prayer right now more than ever. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We hope you'll join us next time. From all of us here, have a great day, and God bless you.